All right. Hello again, Jem, and thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
Um, let's start by talking about your background and how you got into copy and sideline translation.
Okay, that's a long and winding road. So I'll try and give you a bridged version. So I left to school on my 16th birthday. Um, and I didn't like school very much, and I, I did like English, creative writing, but I didn't get a recommendation to go on to higher English. So I thought, well, I'm just going to leave. And I worked as a butler for the rich and famous after that in the Scottish castle. I did that for quite a few years. Met a lot of famous people. Um, one of the big events we did was Madonna's wedding. So that was pretty cool. Me from a poor family, being sort of mingling with the rich and famous. And actually, it probably made me realize that everyone, people are just people. Even famous people are on a pedestal, but there's nothing to be scared of. They're just flesh and blood like the rest of us. So that actually gave me a lot of good lessons for later on in life. And I met a Dutch girl while I was there, and I moved to the Netherlands when I was 19. We lived there for 2.5 years, and then I decided I wanted to go to school after all. I was 21. And so I went back to Scotland, took my girlfriend with me, and I did a recording engineering degree. So I was recording bands. Quickly realized I didn't pay any money, so I switched to acoustic consultancy, which did pay. So that was good. And I did that for a while in Scotland, to England. I did a lot of work for the military novice. Advising on training ranges, tank shooting, and that kind of stuff. Not to bother people too much in the surrounding area. And then we decided to move back to the Netherlands. So this was 2009, and I got a totally different job working for an acoustics company. And I started a new defense division for them. We were making products to detect snipers. Acoustically. And that job brought me all over the world. So I was for 7 years pretty much traveling non-stop all over the world to different, Japan, Korea, Turkey, Scandinavia, and the US a lot actually. I really like the US. So I'd like to get there as much as I can. But after 7 years, I burned out really badly. So I took 9 months off to recover. And after that, I got a new job, doing more or less the same thing with a company. And there, after 2 years, I had starting a family, baby on the way, and I realized I was heading for burnout again. And I thought I had to change something. And around that time, I started doing screenwriting as a hobby, writing screenplays. And then, as I thought back, I realized the part of the sales jobs that I liked was actually the writing part. And I thought, well, maybe I can mix the two and then sort of try and earn some money with it. So while I was still working my job, I tried to get a couple of freelance jobs as a writer, and that worked out pretty well. I got a lot of good feedback. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to take the plunge and go full time as a writer. Because I'm in the Netherlands and I'm a native English speaker, I ended up doing a little bit of translation and work as well. And in March last year, I went full-time freelance. So I've been going almost a year now. It's going really well, and I'm home a lot with family. So it was a really good choice for me at that time.
All right. So I think that Netherlands is one of the countries where pretty much everybody speaks English. And I love the digs you make and they speak English versus, actually speak English.
Yeah, that's right. I think something like 74% of the Dutch speak with a good level of English.
Hmm. Well, has it ever impacted your work, your life as a copywriter or translator when clients come in and um, make changes, or that doesn't come up for you so much?
You mean when a Dutch writer is written in English?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, the level of English is up there to something like 70% most of the time. And there's a 30% which is not quite right, especially when you get into copywriting, where you're trying to convince somebody or something. And especially if that's a native English speaker who's reading it, I think you really need to pay attention and to do that well. So I was often in the last 10 years of my sales jobs as well was correcting those people.
Hmm. Do you feel like the website copy marketing style is different?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, very much. So I did a lot of white paper writing and sort of technical stuff. And it's quite different to the marketing side. And I really like the difference actually. So I write technical manuals as well as doing website copy and email copy, where we're really trying to get somebody to do something, persuade them to
Hmm.
or purchase. But yeah, those are very two different styles, and I just sort of educated myself in that while I was doing the job.
Okay. Okay, if I start sharing your website, because I want to talk about your website. I really like your website.
Thanks.
But it has the very, well, not direct response, but it's very, that's your day, you found me vibe. And can
Yeah.
you talk us through the process of how you got to that?
Yeah. So what I realized was that I wanted to build some sort of trust straight away. And I thought a good way to do that was having a nice representative picture of myself, so that the prospect would see, who's going to be doing the work for them, and also just to introduce myself in a very concise way, so they know exactly what I'm going to do for them, above the fold.
Hmm. And then you have the video with some very dramatic music.
Yeah.
Did people
Yeah.
watch it? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's been viewed on YouTube like 300 times or something like that. So it does get looked at. Maybe I looked at it 299 times. I'm not sure.
Well, I just watched it. It was very, you came to the right place. It's like, all right. And that's one of my favorite digs. Apostrophe in yours. Is that the one that comes up most?
Yeah, there's a lot of Dutch typical mistakes. Yeah, that's one of them. But that's one of them in English. A lot of native English speakers get that wrong as well. But yeah, I like to put in a couple of light-hearted jokes here and there. I like to try and be a little bit witty, but still being professional.
Yeah, services. And let's talk about this one. It's not just you need to hire me, but also you need to talk to your boss.
Yeah, I mean, so I realized that. So I'm doing business to business. That's where my experience lies. So that makes sense. I mostly work for high tech companies in the Netherlands who are internationally facing, and it's not quite often the people who need the work done aren't necessarily the final decision maker. So what I wanted to do here was give them ammunition to take to their bosses and the decision makers to actually be able to hire me.
So when you are stacking the reasons, is that pretty much how the objections come up?
Yeah, so I didn't think I didn't think about this too strategically. I think, I put this website together in a weekend, I think. And I just came up with some reasons where I thought if I was trying to hire somebody to do some writing for me, because I did this job too, I was a marketing manager, and I thought these are the reasons why it would be better to hire someone else.
I like the images. Those images are so fun.
I'm actually not a fan of like stock photos. The typical 5 business people in suits strutting around a laptop. So I needed. I think you need to get visuals on your website too. I think to help keep the attention. And to you also don't want just blocks of text. So for that reason, I put images in there too.
Well, I mean, they are stock, right? But they're not.
These aren't my friends.
Yeah. Like there's always like 3 or 4 unsplash pictures that are making their rounds around websites.
Yeah.
These are not like that. And clients, and testimonials, and video background, and fill out the form. Can I ask you about how your website has been working for you so far?
Sure. In the beginning, I hoped that I would bring in clients with it. Very quickly, I realized that I probably have to do really a lot of work to be able to, or pay simply to get up on the Google search rankings. And actually, what also happened was I ended up being fully booked right from the start when I started as a copywriter. Didn't expect that, but it meant that all my plans for sending out cold emails to try and get clients and stuff, I didn't need to do any of that. So what I use the website for really is just having a place where I can refer somebody to. And normally those people I'm referring, they come out of my network. So they're sort of warm mostly. Occasionally I get somebody who finds me on the website, on the internet, and then calls me up. I think it's happened like 3 times last year.
Right, but they became clients, or?
Yeah, they all did. Yeah.
Well, then you don't attract many people, but you attract the right ones.
Yeah, I mean, if I get a client, normally it's not just for one job. So there's a couple of odd jobs I've done here and there. But most of the time, if I take on a client, it's going to be for ongoing regular work.
Right. So you don't need to be constantly bringing in the leads.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And what I did recently was I didn't have it at first, portfolio, but I added that just maybe a month ago. It's just like bare naked, what's it called, links at the moment, text links. So at least people can see the stuff I've written. But eventually I want to make this more visually appealing, so we'll make visual links instead of text.
Do you want to be making like mini case studies out of it, or just make it look pretty?
What's that?
I said, do you think you'll be making mini case studies out of it, or you just want to make it look visually appealing?
Yeah, eventually I might make some case studies. Yeah. So you mean case studies about what I do for my clients?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's something I'd like to do if I ever get the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Client work is king, so that takes priority.
Well, that's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to work on my business more, and probably just even for my own ego, I just like to make it look beautiful and be part of it. So I'm like 50% part of this at the moment. I mean, I wrote it when I was starting, and I haven't really done much to it since. And I've learned a hell of a lot in the last year about copywriting and the techniques and structure and I would like to put, proper full-blown sales pages in for the different services that I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's stuff for a rainy day.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for finding the time and talking through your website and how it all came together.
Oh, you're welcome.